Whatever you're seeking from the other person, you actually gonna have to give yourself. So if you feel like they owe you an apology, nah, you owe yourself an apology. Or if you feel like you need to understand something from them, or you need them to understand something, no, you need to give yourself that understanding. There's nothing that you need from anybody else for you to feel whole. Okay, what exactly is internal reconciliation? I'm glad you asked. Whatever you're seeking from the other person, you actually gonna have to give yourself. So if you feel like they owe you an apology, nah, you owe yourself an apology. Or if you feel like you need to understand something from them, or you need them to understand something, no, you need to give yourself that understanding. There's nothing that you need from anybody else for you to feel whole. I'm sure that we've all heard the famous saying, allowing people to live rent-free in your head. So while you're sitting around upset that you didn't get some sort of closure from this person, they live in their life, and they living rent-free in your head, in your mental space. They're affecting your mind, which means they're affecting your body, which means they're affecting your life. Is the situation, is the circumstance really that deep? Like, it very much well may be a deep situation or a deep circumstance that cuts you deeply and it hurts you tremendously, and that's understandable. But is it worth the continuous misery day by day? That's a question for you to think about. I want you guys to look at it this way, right? So when you are holding some sort of weight on your heart because you have unfinished business with somebody, on the surface it might look a little bit like this, or sound a little bit like this: I want an apology from this person. This person owes me an apology, or I need to understand where they're coming from, or I deeply need them to understand where I'm coming from. That's understandable. We've all had those kind of feelings, right? Beneath the surface, what is actually going on is, I need this person's validation for me to feel whole again. There is no way for me to move past this situation and release it from my mind and release it from my heart without this other person. I'm not powerful enough to do that on my own, to heal and to get through the situation on my own. I give this person complete power over me. That sounds a little crazy, that I would give you power over me. That I would really think that I need you to heal me, to get my peace, that I would need you. No. So that's when internal reconciliation needs to come through, because you don't need the external reconciliation. So when you're going through your internal reconciliation, okay, so what does that look like? First of all, I want to start with validating yourself and reminding yourself of who you are, so that you can fully understand that while you're going through this internal reconciliation, that you got it by yourself and that you don't need anybody else for you to get it done and get through it. So that's exactly the first step. Start by realizing that you don't need nobody to validate you. You are God and you are God alone. You don't need anybody else's approval, anybody else's stamp or check mark for you to move on with your life and for you to get peace and freedom. Number 2, grace and acceptance. I want you to remember that some of your characteristics don't always align with other people. And to be a little bit more blunt, your shit has the tendency to stink too. So whatever this person did to offend you, you gotta have a little bit of grace and understanding and acceptance and say, you know what, well, I have my ways too. You know what I'm saying? So it allows you to kind of free yourself from such a tight hold on whatever action that person did to offend you. So it's not really about giving them grace or acceptance for the purpose of having them in your life or for the purpose of letting them slide. It's more so for the purpose of releasing such a tight hold on the action that they committed. And then we're going to move on to working with the inner child and the shadow, because remember, life is simply reflecting back to you what you are putting out. So whatever this person did to offend you or said to offend you, you have to look inward and ask yourself, okay, how did I attract this experience into my life? And you first want to start by identifying what emotions were triggered. Were you angry? Were you disappointed? Were you sad? Were you let down? How did you feel? And this is actually a shadow work technique that I use. That's the first step. You want to identify the emotions. The second step is, what is the earliest memory you have of feeling that same exact emotion? The earliest you can remember, as early as you can go back. And if you can't go back that early, that's okay. Go throughout your childhood, your adolescence, your teen years, your young adult years. I don't know how old, what's the highest age my audience goes to, but you want to analyze different phases of your life of when you felt those kind of emotions, because those are your root. Those are tied to your foundation of why you were even triggered by this person in the first place. That's step 2 of your shadow work / inner child healing. Step 3, you want to talk to all those situations that you're able to uproot. You want to reaffirm how you felt as a child or how you felt as an adolescent or whatever age you were. So if you are journaling and you've done step 1 where you're writing these emotions down, and step 2 where you're writing, oh, I remember this day where this person did this and I felt upset and I felt sad that they did this. Then you want to go to step 3 and you want to address that memory, and you want to say, you know what? I now understand that this person was reacting from their own issues, from their own perception of life, and it really had nothing to do with me. Everything that they put out in my direction had everything to do with what was going on in their inner world. Therefore, I am not to blame. I am not at fault here, nor am I a victim, because I understand that I am now and forever will be and has been in control of my experience. Therefore, I know how to respect myself and treat myself so that this occurrence, this experience does not continue to manifest and cycle in my life. Okay, and that's just a little something I got for y'all for that shadow work technique. That's kind of a lot, but it just goes into the internal reconciliation. You don't have to be that in depth with it. You simply could just identify the emotion and the earliest memory you have of that emotion. Now, I really love this shadow work technique because, for one, we identify the emotion. 2, we identify the root of the emotion, but then we go back and we talk to that inner child. We talk to that feeling of how that inner child felt, which is just simply, you are that inner child. And, we speak to it and speak positivity into her or him, and encouragement and reassurance, you know what I'm saying? And it allows for the healing and the mending of the heart of that inner child. And once you get a practice on this and you make this a ritualistic kind of thing, you actually will find that things that you used to be triggered by will no longer be so triggering. Or even if they are triggering, you're able to work with that inner child and work with your shadow, which we'll also get a little bit more into later in another video. but you're able to better work with the experience so that you don't react or even feel in a way that you would have yesterday or last week or 2 years ago or whatever the case may be. And the last thing I want to give you for internal reconciliation is gratitude. It sounds almost crazy to say, I'm so thankful this person ran over my foot with their car. Or I'm so thankful this person cursed me out. Or I'm so thankful this person betrayed me. I'm so thankful this person stabbed me in the back. Whatever. It sounds almost crazy to say that, right? But it is necessary, because guess what? Without that person doing what they did, for one, you wouldn't have learned something about yourself, because that's first and foremost. Remember, we talk about self-accountability. You're reflecting you. So for one, you wouldn't have learned something about yourself. Two, you wouldn't have learned how to better something about yourself. Three, you wouldn't have learned something about life and the experience overall, and how this lesson in particular is the setup for your blessing for the rest of your life. Those are the things that you are truly grateful for, not necessarily for the action or the words of the person who offended you and who triggered you. You are grateful and you want to give gratitude for the experience, because somehow the experience fits into the equation of the life that you are calling into your existence. That's my spiel though. Internal reconciliation, okay? Sometimes you don't get closure. I got my notes here. You're not going to get closure. And what does somebody owe you closure anyway? They don't. And you don't owe nobody else closure either, okay? It's a little, it's graceful, and kind, and empathetic to give somebody closure, okay? So I can understand the desire for it and the desire to want to give it, but it's not owed. And if you don't get it, that's okay. You can definitely move on and figure things out and heal and live your best life by yourself without that person. You don't need them to validate you. Do your internal reconciliation, and y'all know where to find me if you need some guidance or some assistance with this. My email is thefreesoultribe@gmail.com. My website, where you can find my coaching services, as well as book me to facilitate your next workshop or event. ebonygardner.com/coaching, and then Instagram and TikTok, The Free Soul Tribe. Okay? Now, I always gotta think about what I'm gonna say. All right, leave y'all with a little message here. I feel like the whole video was a message. Like, I'm gonna just say my ending and be done. Be at peace, okay? Be fulfilled. Be love. Be joy, okay? And I say be because you are already these things, because you are God. So embody these. Embody love, embody joy, embody peace, and guess what? Embody freedom. Be free, because you are a free soul. All right, now I'm gonna get on up out of here. Y'all take care.